Good morning. I'm Karen Hamstra. It's Monday, July 1st. And welcome to Title Talk. I have just a few books to tell you about for this holiday week. The first is a mystery by an Irish author now living in London, The Lost Letters of William Wolfe by Helen Cullen. This book deals with William Wolfe, who works in the Lost Letters Department of the Post Office, Dead Letters Depot, in fact. And there detectives work to solve mysteries of illegible handwriting, lost address labels, torn packages, forgotten street names, that kind of thing, trying to unite the parcels and letters with their rightful owners. But when letters arrive addressed simply to "My Great Love," longtime letter detective William Wolfe faces his greatest mystery to date. Written by a woman to the soulmate she hasn't yet met, the missives capture William's heart in ways he never knew was possible. Soon he finds himself torn between the realities of his own marriage and his world of letters, and his quest to follow the clues becomes a life-changing journey of love, hope, and courage. The Lost Letters of William Wolfe by Helen Cullen. We have a Civil War novel, No Common War, by Luke Salisbury. It starts in 1835 when two Salisbury brothers journey to what is now called Washington, D.C., was then Washington City, from Sandy Creek, New York, to promote their town. There they see a slave being whipped, and one of them gets hit in the face with the whip as he attempts to rescue the slave, and thus becomes an ardent abolitionist. And then we jump forward to 1861 when his son Moreau is at seminary just as Fort Sumter is fired on, marking the beginning of the Civil War. And Moreau cannot recognize the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill," with killing, even given the abomination of slavery. But his mind is changed when he discovers an escaped slave trying to get to Canada, and he and his cousin Merrick join the 24th New York Volunteers. So, No Common War, our novel, presents battle as the Civil War entryman experiences it, and does not shrink from depictions of the primitive medical treatment of wounds. We all know what that was like. And infection, and it also shows the home front where families and lovers of the combatants must sit and wait for any news that is so slow to come. Luke Salisbury, No Common War. And we have a fantasy book. This is an adult book called The Last Tsar's Dragons, but it's by the very, very famous children's author Jane Yolen, along with Adam Stempel. And it's the waning days of the Russian monarchy, and a reckless man, the Tsar, ruled the land, and his dragons ruled the skies. The Tsar aims his dragons at his enemies, the Jews and the Bolsheviks, and when this happens, his entire country catches fire. Conspiracies suffuse the royal court, bureaucrats jostle, Rasputin schemes for the Tsar's ear, and the desperate queen takes drastic measures to protect her family. Revolution is in the air, and the Red Army is hatching its own weapons. Jane Yolen, The Last Tsar's Dragons. And this is another historical fiction book with kind of a local link. It's called Beautiful Revolutionary by Laura Elizabeth Willett, and it is about Jim Jones. And as many of you may remember, he had a Northern Indiana connection. It's the summer of 1968, and Evelyn Linden is a woman at war with herself. She's a minister's daughter, an atheist, an independent woman, frustrated wife. She follows her conscientious objector husband Lenny to the rural Eden of Evergreen Valley, California. Evelyn wants to be happy with their new life, yet she finds herself disillusioned with Lenny's passive ways, and she's anxious for a savior. Enter the Reverend Jim Jones, the dynamic leader of a new revolutionary church. So if you think you would like to know some more about Jim Jones and what made him tick, you want to check out Beautiful Revolutionary. And we have a romance called A Bend in the Stars by Rachel Barenbaum. This is another book that takes place in Russia in the summer of 1914 as war with Germany looms. It's about Miri Abramov and her brilliant physicist brother Vanya. They are facing an impossible decision. Their parents drowned while trying to flee to America, and they have been raised by their babushka, who is a famous matchmaker from Odessa, and she taught them to protect themselves at all costs. But now, with Miri on the verge of becoming one of Russia's only female surgeons and Vanya close to solving the puzzle of Einstein's relativity, can they bear to leave their homeland that has given them so much? But before they have time to make up their minds, war is declared, and we all know what happened with all that. But read the romance to find out what happened to Miri and Vanya. A Bend in the Stars by Rachel Barenbaum. Jenny Colgan has a new bookshop book. This one is called The Bookshop on the Shore. It's about a single mom who wants to build, she's from London, and she wants to build a new life for herself and her 4-year-old son, Harry, and his dad is no help. But her sister comes up with a job in a bookstore far away on the shores of Loch Ness, and also another job to help her pay for housing, which is to be an au pair for 3 children at a genuine castle in the Scottish Highlands. Scotland is everything Zoe has dreamed of, but the kids that she's being the au pair for are a mess, and the castle is crumbling. So she has her work cut out for her, but her son Harry just blossoms and truly loves the Scottish air. So with the help of Nina, the friendly local bookseller, Zoe begins to put down roots in the community. Our books, fresh air and kindness enough to heal the Urquhart family and her own. The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan. If you've read any of her other bookshop books, you probably might want to try that one. Laura Kate has a book called The Orphan's Song. This is another historical fiction book. We don't normally get that many historical fiction books in, so that's why I selected so many. This one takes place in Venice in 1736. Violetta and Mino come together on the roof of the Hospital of the Incurables and form a connection that will change their lives forever. But when the resident maestro notices Violetta's voice, she is selected for the Incurables' world-famous coro and must sign an oath never to sing beyond its church's doors. After a declaration of love ends in heartbreak, Mino flees the Incurables in search of his family. Without him, the walls close in on Violetta, and she begins a dangerous and forbidden nightlife, hoping her voice will secure her freedom. It says it's vibrant with the glamour and beauty of Venice, takes us on a breathtaking journey of passion, heartache, and betrayal before it crescendos into an unforgettable ending, a celebration of the enduring nature and transforming power of love. So it might also be a romance, while at the same time being historical fiction. Some books can do double duty, you know. A couple of nonfiction books, Unschooled, Raising Curious, Well-Educated Children Outside the Conventional Classroom. I think you pretty well get the idea of what that might be about. It can be found at 371.042, and the author is Carrie McDonald. And our last book of the day, for you creative sorts, is Milk Soaps, Making Milk-Enriched Soaps from Goat to Almond. I have looked through this. It doesn't look like it would be too hard. It has really clear color illustrations that will show you just what to do, and it can be found at 668.12, and the author's name is Anne-Marie Faiola, F-A-I-O-L-A. Milk Soaps. I hope you have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you back here next week on Title Talk.